Welcome to the Autism Infocast. I'm Peter Clark, founder and chairman of the Autism Info Center. Our podcasts delve into every part of autism and neurodiversity, and we want to help you spread understanding, respect, and kindness for those whose lives are affected. Whether you're autistic yourself, or whether you know or care for someone who's autistic, or maybe you just come into contact with autistic people in everyday life. Either way, please feel free to check out our hundreds of articles, videos, books, and training courses at autisminfocenter.org. And I'll leave you now in the capable hands of today's hosts, Jemima and Theo. Over to you.
Welcome to the podcast. Today we're looking at something really important. For many autistic people, just explaining things verbally, especially social stuff or feelings, it can be like trying to see through fog.
Yeah, exactly. It often leads to, a lot of confusion, maybe anxiety too, because the way we usually explain things just doesn't quite land.
Doesn't connect. But what if there were ways to sort of cut through that fog? Visual ways.
Precisely. And that's what we're diving into today. There are these really powerful visual strategies that can help.
Okay.
We're going to focus on two key ones: social stories and comic strip conversations. They're designed to give clear, concrete information.
Making things solid, not abstract.
Right. Which can massively boost understanding and, crucially, dial down that feeling of being overwhelmed. Makes the social world feel a bit more predictable.
So for you listening, this is kind of a shortcut to getting your head around these tools. We'll look at why they're so helpful, how they actually work, and the real difference they can make. Less overwhelm, more understanding. Sounds good.
Sounds great.
Okay, let's unpack the first one then. Social stories. What are we actually talking about when we say social story?
Okay, so a social story at its heart is a short description. It's personalized, written about a specific social situation, maybe a skill someone's learning, or even a concept.
And how's it written? Is there a particular style?
Yeah, there is. It's written in a really clear way, reassuring, very literal. No hidden meanings, no sarcasm. Think of it like a simple script for what might happen.
Just the facts, presented gently.
Exactly.
So what's the main goal? Is it about trying to make someone behave differently?
That's a really important point. The main goal isn't to force a behavior change. It's about increasing understanding.
Understanding of what, specifically?
Understanding social cues, maybe seeing things from another person's perspective, or knowing what's generally expected in a certain place or situation.
Okay.
So it's not about you must do this. It's more like, here's what often happens, here's what people might be thinking or feeling, and here's a possible way to respond. It's informational.
So it informs, it prepares.
Exactly, it prepares them. And by doing that, it reduces anxiety. Social situations can feel chaotic, right? Like a maze you don't have the map for.
Yeah, absolutely.
A social story is like giving someone that personalized map. It builds a sense of safety, predictability, and that can be huge.
That really clicks. Now, I heard these stories have a specific structure, certain types of sentences.
They do, yeah. And that structure is really part of what makes them work so well. You usually start with descriptive sentences.
Okay, descriptive, like what?
Just objective facts. So if it's about school, maybe. Sometimes the fire alarm rings at school.
Yeah.
Simple fact.
Got it. What else?
Then you have perspective sentences. These try to describe what other people might be thinking or feeling. So, sticking with the fire alarm maybe, my teachers want me to be safe. It explains the why behind others' actions.
Okay. Seeing it from their side.
Right. Then there are directive sentences. These offer some gentle guidance on what the person could do, often framed positively. Like, I will try to walk quietly to the assembly point. It's a suggestion, not a command.
Gentle guidance. Okay. And the last type?
Affirmative sentences. These reinforce something positive, a benefit, or a shared value. Like, this helps everyone stay safe. It kind of ties it all together with a positive point.
Descriptive, perspective, directive, affirmative. That structure makes a lot of sense. Provides the facts, the feelings, the suggestion, the reassurance.
Precisely. It builds the picture layer by layer.
Let's look at that doctor's appointment example. It goes, going to the doctor's office is important for my health. Descriptive. My mom or dad will take me. Descriptive. We will wait in a waiting room, which might have other people there. Descriptive again, setting the scene. When the doctor calls my name, I will go into a room with them. More description. The doctor might ask me questions and look at my ears or throat, explaining what happens.
Right, demystifying the process.
This helps the doctor make sure I am healthy. That feels like perspective or affirmative, explaining the why.
Yeah, connecting the action to the positive outcome.
When the visit is finished, we will go home. Simple fact. My mom or dad will be proud that I was brave. That sounds like perspective and affirmative rolled into one.
It does. It offers that reassurance and links it back to the relationship.
You can really feel how that step-by-step approach builds predictability. It lays it all out. No surprises.
That's the aim. Remove the unknown, reduce the anxiety.
Okay, great. Now let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about comic strip conversations. Social situations are one thing, but what about stuff that's even more abstract, like emotions or intentions or things people think but don't say? How do you make that concrete?
Yeah, that's a brilliant question, and that's exactly where comic strip conversations really come into their own. They're fantastic for helping people, especially autistic individuals, understand those trickier parts of communication.
How do they do that?
Well, what's fascinating is they visually map out the interaction. They show what's happening, what people are actually saying, but also, and this is key, what people might be thinking.
The thought bubbles.
Exactly. The thought bubbles are crucial. And the whole thing uses really simple drawings, like stick figures.
Why simple?
It reduces the cognitive load. You're not distracted by complex art. You can focus purely on the social information, the interaction itself.
Makes sense. Less clutter.
Right. And then there's another layer. Colors are often used to represent emotions, so you're literally seeing the feelings involved.
Okay, tell me more about these key elements. We've got stick figures.
Simple stick figures representing the people. Then speech bubbles showing the words spoken out loud. Pretty standard.
Yep.
Then the thought bubbles, which, as we said, show the internal thoughts, the things not said. This is so powerful for explaining those hidden social rules or why someone might act a certain way even if their words seem okay.
That sounds incredibly useful. And the colors, how do they work?
It varies a bit, but common conventions are things like green for good ideas or happy feelings. Red often signifies anger or maybe warnings. Blue for sadness. Yellow perhaps for fear or anxiety.
And you mentioned black?
Yeah, black is sometimes used just for factual statements or neutral thoughts. Things that aren't heavily emotion-laden.
Okay, so you're getting layers of information. The situation, the words, the hidden thoughts, and the emotional tone.
You've got it. It puts it all out there visually.
Let's try and picture that example, the friend who's frowning and quiet. How would that look as a comic strip conversation, panel by panel?
Okay, so panel 1. You draw your friend, simple stick figure, but with a clear frown. Maybe their speech bubble is empty or just has like dots.
Showing they're quiet.
Right. But then, crucially, you add a thought bubble above their head, maybe color it blue for sadness, and inside it says something like, I feel sad because my game console broke.
Okay, so right away you see the internal reason for the external look.
Exactly. Now, panel 2. You draw yourself, maybe with a neutral or slightly questioning look. Your speech bubble says, are you okay? You look quiet.
Asking for clarification.
Yes. And maybe your thought bubble, perhaps black for a factual query, says, I wonder why my friend is quiet.
Okay, showing your thought process too.
Panel 3. The friend again, still frowning. Maybe you add a little tear for emphasis. Their speech bubble now has words. My game console broke.
They're sharing the reason.
Yes. And their thought bubble, still blue, might reinforce it. I feel really upset about it.
Got it. So panel 4, what happens next?
Panel 4. You draw yourself again, maybe now with a more sympathetic expression. Your speech bubble offers comfort. Oh, that's sad. I'm sorry your game broke.
The appropriate social response.
Right. And your thought bubble, maybe this time it's green for a helpful or good social idea, says, my friend needs some comfort right now.
Wow. Okay, walking through like that, I can really see how it breaks down a complex moment. You see the mismatch between behavior and words sometimes, you see the hidden feelings, and you see the thought process behind finding the right response.
Exactly. It connects all the dots. It takes that abstract social puzzle and makes it visual, clear, and actionable. It demystifies it.
It really does. Okay, so we've looked at social stories and comic strip conversations separately. They seem to share some underlying principles, though, for making them effective. If someone, a parent, a teacher, a therapist, wants to create these, what are the key things they need to keep in mind?
Absolutely. There are common threads. First and foremost is personalization. These tools work best when they are tailored specifically to the individual. Use their name, familiar places, people they know, situations relevant to them.
Makes sense. Not generic.
Not generic. Then, using positive language. Focus on what the person should or can do, rather than focusing on the don'ts. Emphasize the positive outcomes. So instead of don't run, maybe I will walk calmly in the hallway.
framing it positively.
Yes. And alongside that, simple and clear language is vital. Short sentences, straightforward words. Avoid jargon. Definitely avoid idioms or sarcasm. Those can be really confusing.
It keeps it literal and direct.
Exactly. And obviously, visuals are important. Whether it's photos and simple drawings or symbols, they need to clearly match the text and not be too busy or distracting. Clarity is key.
Good point. Cluttered visuals defeat the purpose. What else?
Repetition. Don't just use a social story once. Read it regularly, especially before the situation it describes. Revisit comic strip conversations to reinforce understanding. Repetition helps it stick.
Builds familiarity and confidence.
Right. And finally, a really important one, collaboration. Whenever it's possible and appropriate, involve the autistic person in actually creating the tool.
How does that work? And why is it so important?
Well, they might help choose photos for a social story or even draw the pictures for a comic strip conversation about something they experienced. It gives them ownership. It makes it their tool, not just something imposed on them.
So it becomes more meaningful and relevant to them.
Absolutely. It empowers them. They're part of figuring out the solution, understanding their world. It shifts the dynamic significantly.
That feels really key. Empowering, not just instructing. So bringing it all together, what are the big picture benefits for autistic people using these tools? What real-world difference do they make?
Oh, the benefits are pretty wide-ranging and can be profound. Firstly, they really boost social understanding, making those invisible rules and expectations visible and concrete.
Less guesswork.
Way less guesswork. This directly leads to reducing anxiety. When you know what to expect, or you have a script or a map, the fear of the unknown shrinks dramatically. That's huge for well-being.
I can imagine.
They're also excellent for teaching new skills. You can break down almost anything into steps: getting dressed, using public transport, hygiene routines, using a social story, maybe with pictures.
Making complex tasks manageable?
Exactly. And as understanding and skills grow, that naturally promotes independence. People feel more confident navigating situations on their own, which builds self-esteem.
That's a wonderful outcome.
It really is. And finally, they significantly enhance communication. These tools can become a shared reference point. It gives everyone involved, the autistic person, family, educators, a common language to talk about tricky social stuff or feelings.
A bridge for communication.
A visual bridge, yes.
So ultimately, it sounds like these tools are all about empowerment, making the social world less confusing, less overwhelming, and more navigable by translating it into a format that works better.
That's a perfect summary. It leverages visual strengths to make the abstract concrete and the unpredictable manageable.
It really does make you pause and think, doesn't it? How simply visualizing something complex, a social rule, an emotion, a sequence of events, can unlock understanding and build confidence. It's powerful stuff, not just in autism support, but maybe as a communication strategy more broadly.
Absolutely. Clarity through visuals is a powerful principle.
Thanks for listening to this Autism Infocast from the AutismInfoCenter.org.
Thank you, Jemima and Theo. I'm sure we've all learned something there today. Don't forget to visit AutismInfoCenter.org to hear our other episodes, browse our library of articles, see our inspiring range of books, watch our videos about autism and neurodiversity, and find out about training courses that can help you or your organization make the world a safer, happier, and more meaningful place for us all. If you've enjoyed what you've heard today, please feel free to spread the word about Autism Info Center. A quick mention on your socials is always appreciated. Until next time, this is Peter Clark from AutismInfoCenter.org. Have a great day.